know and love come to you like the sound of equipment being thrown from a moving van, the sound of dead cell phones and oil rigs, the sound of empty parking lots and school buses. They love to live and live to love. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Children of America, the White Stripes.
Hello, come on in. The water's great. My name is Ryan Schaap, and this is the hardest podcast to podcast. Podcast celebrating every song in the White Stripes catalog, and we are celebrating a mammoth song this week, a whopper. This podcast is home of the whopper because we are talking about the amazing cover of Dolly Parton's Jolene, released as a B-side for Hello Operator in the year 2000. This song is a staple of the White Stripes live show. For a song that just came out as a B-side, they sure as hell were known for it. It was an immediate crowd favorite. It is mind-blowing how much justice they did covering this song. Hey, is this your first time listening? Let me give you a little idea of what we do here. Each episode is devoted to one song the White Stripes released. We talk about it with a special guest, and we really shine as much of a spotlight onto not only the White Stripes' biggest hits, but also some of their more integral deep cuts and their live staples. And this is definitely all of the above. This is a song that followed the White Stripes. This was a song synonymous with the White Stripes as soon as they decided to cover it back in 99. As I was preparing for this episode with Andrea, I've never been the biggest fan of the studio recording because it's so different. It's not bad in any way. It's just not as dynamic or powerful as, say the version on Under Blackpool Lights. So I started to look at some older concerts of the White Stripes covering this song, and it's pretty wild that it did not take them too long to figure out how they were going to perform this song and just how special it became. Absolutely incredible. I love this song, and I know you do too, and that's why you're here. If you like the show that I'm putting out and you feel like supporting it, buymeacoffee.com/hardestpodtopod. That link again is buymeacoffee.com/hardestpodtopod. This is a great way to chip a few bucks our way, either as a one-off or a monthly donation, and it helps keep the lights on and helps keep us having this show look and sound as good as it does. And I've heard good reports. It does sound good, and it looks pretty good too. Another reminder, as always, you've got to tell 7 friends. 7 friends about the hardest pod to pod. You've got to tell 7 friends. You don't need to bring 7 friends. And just remember not to be selfish and keep this all to yourself. And should you have a shellfish allergy, don't eat shellfish. But if you don't, go nuts. But please, we're all about spreading the word of this show and growing its footprint. And we're doing that brick by brick, week by week. But we'd love for your assistance here and there. Tell a friend, tell 7, rate and review the podcast, follow the podcast, follow us all over social media and on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Speaking of those 2 platforms, I think it's time right now that we hit pause on this week's episode. That's right, it's time for our call to action. Go to your streaming platform of choice and find the White Stripes cover of Jolene. You could go for the B-side studio recording off the Hello Operator single, or you can find the live single they released in 2004 for the Under Blackpool Lights video. So hit pause now, and on the other side of the break, it's time for Jolene. Our guest this week is a reporter with the Globe and Mail with multiple national newspaper and Jack Webster Awards to her name. She is Andrea Woo. Andrea, how are you doing this evening?
I am great. That was a very generous intro. Nobody cares about that. You didn't have to say all that, but thank you.
You are also a reformed music journalist.
Yes, but the caveat is that that was in a past lifetime. That was very many years ago, and, and it was also mostly hip hop. So
Okay.
I would like to confess at the opening of this that I had not been a voracious listener of the White Stripes. However, I am a very big fan of their cover of this song that we're doing today.
Excellent. Let me ask you a question off the hop. When you were a music journalist and when you were covering artists, what was your goal when you would interview somebody? What were you trying to get out of them?
I mean, it's much like news now. I mean, the hope is always that they will tell you something or say something that is different from something that they've said before. That it's not always the canned answers that somehow in the very limited time that you usually have with artists that they will reveal something about themselves, or there will be this slice of humanity, or they'll be like really funny or really kind, or there'll be a moment or something that sort of transcends past this very usually transactional interview.
Something that doesn't fall under the category of key messages, or you can find it in the the digital. Oh, what is that called? The musical kit or whatever.
You are a man who now works in communications.
Yes. So if you're interviewing back in this day, when probably the White Stripes are still active, if you find out that this strange indie rock brother sister husband and wife outfit out of Detroit is covering one of Dolly Parton's biggest songs, what would you go into that interview wanting to ask?
Wait, so this is assuming the song has just come out and I get
Yes.
to oh shit, that's a good question. I
Because
like, what do you,
as you kind of mull that over for a bit, this was like a very big song, and I'm shocked that my 15-year-old self, when I first discovered this band and heard this song, did not know about one of Dolly Parton's biggest songs from 1974. But Jolene was a huge hit, a very unique song, a song with subject matter that I don't think was sang about much then, and still sung about not that much today. So if you've got these pale skinned, brooding looking youngsters from Detroit covering this song, what are you asking them?
where do you even start? I mean, like but like genuinely, where do you even start? Like, how do you even make the decision to cover this? Because that's a very daunting song, and like
Yeah.
to attempt it and to fuck it up, like you have failed. Like there's a recent example I can think of that was widely panned of a Jolene cover. Do you know what I'm talking about?
A panned Jolene cover?
Yeah, just widely criticized, did not land.
The
It
Beyonce one?
Yeah. See,
It was
the fact that you knew what I was talking about.
I share a home with a woman, and I share a home with a woman who has Cowboy Carter on vinyl. I have heard that
Uh-oh.
cover
Uh-oh.
an umpteenth amount of times. Now, is this because of the discretions in that artist's personal life?
I just thought that cover was booty. Like
Oh,
like I just thought it was a poor take on an absolute classic, and it would be so intimidating to go into this. And so, like, going back to your original question, it's like, how do you even begin? Like, I imagine there must be some discussion about it. There must be some sort of pressure to try to live up to a standard when you're putting your own take on such an indisputable classic.
Did you know about this song uh, at any great length or detail prior to the Cowboy Carter version?
Yeah, Jolene.
Okay. Yeah.
Come on, Chevy, Jolene. Have you heard Jolene before Beyonce? Really?
I ask because I'm genuinely curious, because when that song kind of had a bit of resurgence, whenever it was, I was like, well, the rock snob in me goes, I've known about this song since 2003 because a band covered it 30 years after it was released. So I'm always genuinely curious about the reach of songs like this, but also the impact that country music has on non-country music fans.
I think it was one of those exceptional songs that, even though I never actively sought out country music, it was one of those songs that transcended, and you would hear about it and you would learn about it regardless of whether you wanted to or not. Uh, and like it was so special in for many reasons. I mean, like, in country music, it's almost a subgenre to have, the cheating husband, cheating partner, the heartbreak, the vengeance. Uh, and I am only about the 10 billionth person to 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 provide this commentary, but like the fact that she is, singing to the woman, and like in this almost like lustful complimentary way, was like so out of step with your expected typical country cheating husband song. uh and the riff, like, is that not one of the most recognizable like opening guitar riffs?
It's in the saddest chord of all time, D minor. That's a Spinal Tap reference, but it's also like you listen to the song and she's as complimentary of her biggest threat while also being like, listen, I know you're very hot and you're very attractive and this is probably very easy to you, but could you lay off of my guy for a bit? It'd be really helpful. Like, normally it's either one side or the other. It's usually, when you're writing a song, or especially in country music, it's very polarizing. You never have this shades of gray that clearly Dolly had singing about this woman. So the song is from October 1973 off an album called Jolene. And Dolly famously has shared two key inspirations. She's also gone on to say that these are a little exaggerated. They weren't as concerning in the moment, but they hey, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. You're a journalist. You'll be the first one to champion that. So she says,
excuse me. I beg your pardon. This interview is over.
So Jolene says, a striking young fan named Jolene, a redheaded girl who asked for an autograph and whose name just sounded like a song, which, if you've ever tried to write a song before, if you got nothing, you just pick the name of a woman and just try to rhyme with it and hope that it hits. The second version is that a flirtatious red-headed bank teller, so we already have a common trend here, red hair, who persistently gave Dolly's husband, Carl Dean, extra attention, sparking a little bit of playful jealousy and giving shape to the song's narrative. So it was always, the song is a hit. Country music, kind of, this type of era of country music kind of gets buried under the modern country, your Garth Brooks country, your Nashville 90s country, and this relic, you have people like Johnny Cash playing dinner theaters or, wherever that will host him. So like this quickly becomes a forgotten era. And then let's fast forward a little bit. I figured...
Wait, just before we fast forward.
Yeah?
I wonder if that bank teller ever knew what she did, like, for the trajectory of country music. Because, like, surely like, or maybe not. I don't know. Like, I guess
I
her
hope
husband,
so.
well, her husband, like Carl Dean, like I guess he wouldn't have been like recognizable. Like, it's entirely possible that she was the inspiration for this song, and like she was like the impetus for this conflict in their marriage, mild conflict, and like
Yeah.
the inspiration for the song without ever even knowing. Like, she was just working her job at the bank and never knowing. Like, can you imagine?
What put yourself in this voluptuous redheaded bank teller's role?
I often do.
How would you feel if you had a song written about you that paints you as this, I don't know,
It's so
somebody after?
complimentary. But
That's
it's not
true.
like
She
music
is.
now where it's like, bitch, I'm gonna cut you. It's like, you're beautiful. Like, please don't take my man.
Maybe you're right. I'm gonna remove the maybe. You are right, and it's. I hope that she has. I think with any good song like that, you hope that the inspiration finds out in some way or another, especially when it's not, I'm going to cut you, and it's, hey, you're an attractive, successful, charming person. I really like being married to this person.
Also, especially the other the other anecdote that Dolly herself has shared is that the young fan whose name is Jolene. Like, surely she must know. And I haven't actually followed this, but like, did she ever give interviews? Like, was she ever found? Do you know?
I have no idea. I couldn't find anything. I'm sure there's someone that's like, hey, I'm Jolene. I've got red hair. I'm gonna take this one. Dolly was singing about me.
Yeah, I'm Jolene. I met Dolly. Like, surely that must be a thing.
So for this week, so as this is my show, and I'm conflicted with my formatting, so I'm going to do whatever I want for this episode, and we're going to talk about two versions of the song that they released. One was a non-album B-side to Hello Operator in 2000, which was off their album Distill, and the other one was in 2004. They put out a live album, and they did a single for it, and it was Jolene. So we're going to talk primarily about those two songs. In reality, I should do an episode for each, but I don't know how that would work. And you're a learned individual, so I'm gonna corner you and talk about both.
I think it makes sense to combine the two. You're not gonna have separate episodes for the studio version and the live version. This makes sense, I feel.
There's another live version, but we'll leave that there.
Okay.
Fast forward, the White Stripes have released their first album, their self-titled album in '99. And they are putting out their second album to Style, and they decide to do a cover of Jolene. Jack White has said about this song in the past, with Jolene, we've always loved country music. We wanted to do a country single with Dahlia on one side and Loretta Lynn on the other. I first heard Dolly Parton a couple years ago and couldn't believe what a good thing she had going at one point. Then I found out later that other bands had already covered that song. So I love these old quotes where I'm like, so you're concerned about this, or you did it anyway. But at the time, I was a cynical kid when I discovered this band, and I'm like, who would cover a Dolly Parton song? Like, how ironic? And then you kind of listen to it and understand the significance of the song, and you're like, okay, this is one of the most like beautiful songs ever written, and it's like one of the most powerful. So I'm gonna shut up my 15-year-old brain at this point.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Jack White, he also said, I heard that it was Dolly Parton's first single, and I thought that it was I don't want to say ballsy, just a courageous song for her to release as her first single. It's in a minor. I can't believe that. Like, you're coming out gun.
No, there's no way that's her first single. Do we see if we had some money behind this podcast, I could like yell to your producer, like, look that shit up. There's no way that was her first single. Like,
no, I think
she was already trying by then. And
Maybe
then
it's
like
the
someone would pull it up
first.
and then we would look at it together on the TV, but we don't have the resources yet.
It
Someone,
was
do you
the
have a
first.
Patreon or something or like a GoFundMe? So we have but there's no way that was the first single. Like I think
Correct.
it might have been the first
Off the
big
album.
song to like catapult her into like
Sure, yeah.
mainstream popularity, but like she was charting before then.
Yeah, that's a mistake or a lack of context on Jack's quote from 25 years ago. It was the first single of the album, Jolene, in 1973. Her first single was Puppy Love in 1959. So
fucking banger.
she was 13 years old.
I rock that shit to this day.
It's in a minor key. It kind of has this evil overtone. It comes back to me liking Loretta Lynn so much with that finger pointing at men kind of song. Just laying it down the line for someone like that, like you're really hurting my feelings. It's pretty interesting. This single, this B-side, was recorded by maligned former producer Jim Diamond at Ghetto Recorders in Detroit, Michigan. Andrea, he famously tried to sue the White Stripes after they got successful and said that he helped shape their sound and was that influential to them. Took a jury 20 minutes to find out he was full of shit.
Good.
So let's talk about this cover. Did you listen to the studio version?
I did.
What are your thoughts on it?
Studio version, very good, but like it doesn't come anywhere close to the Blackpool version. Is like
yes,
the gold standard Jolene cover in my opinion.
I have that 45 or that single. I have a lot of White Stripes on my phone and on my Apple Music, but I've never been a fan of it. It sounds odd. If anything, the White Stripes should have sued Jim Diamond for making that version sound so crappy. It's just sonically very. There's a lot of mid tones. It's very almost uncomfortable to hear. It's dripping in reverb. It doesn't really have that oomph to it. You can kind of hear on the song that it's that there's some magic there, but it just doesn't translate well. It's like I'm going to use two very dumb guy comparisons, but it's like it kind of sounds like Metallica's And Justice for All, where it's all mid and no bass, or it sounds like Kiss. They're famous for their Alive albums, and Strutter off Alive is like one of the best songs ever, and the studio version of Strutter is literally one of the worst songs ever. So I don't think that they did Jolene its justice, at least in in the studio recording. I brought this up to you when we were kind of discussing that we would do this song. This is a song from a woman's point of view. And Jack White sings it as is. He sings it without changing any of the pronouns or any of the characters in this to reflect his, I guess, sexual preference or what he would put him in that version. What are your thoughts on that?
So initially, I didn't think anything about this. I thought it was just a fucking mind-blowing cover. But then, like, when you had mentioned this before this, it's like, well, like, how would that even work? Like, how are we changing genders? Like, is Jolene like suddenly like bisexual or how
Yeah.
like please don't take my woman, like there's another like consonant to like the whole thing is very messy, but also like rock is just like covers, you sort of embrace the spirit of the original song and like you do with it what you can. And I think part of the reason why the Beyonce cover fell so flat for me was like just the big deviations. It was like it was no longer like she stripped it of all vulnerability, and it became like, I'm warning you, don't I can't remember exactly what the words were, but it's like, I'm warning you, don't mess with my man, or don't take my man, or whatever.
Yeah, because she reimagined it instead of covering it.
Yeah, and so like the thing that made the original version of Jolene so special was like that insane vulnerability. And the White Stripes, Jack White took it and like amplified that by 10. Like there was like he kept that vulnerability. There's no fussing with genders and the pronouns and like the characters in this song, but like he just sort of torqued it and added this like fucking demented, like brooding twist to it, which I find very appealing. Uh, and like especially in the live versions, like it's just like fucking chaotic. Like the slowing it down.
Mm-hmm.
So he slows it down. The electric guitar like adds to like this chaos of like this descent into like insanity of like
Yeah.
jealousy over like the like in the initial version, the despite the lyrics and the vulnerability and the fear and the desperation, like because of the tempo and like the finger picked acoustic guitar, like there's still like a sense of composure, like please don't do this, like I'm really sad, please don't. Whereas like Jack White puts this spin on it where it's like, I am watching you through the window at night. Like it's just like fucking chaotic. And then like
Yeah.
the electric guitar, it takes the vulnerability of the original version and just like amplifies it by 10 and like goes fucking insane, which is what I can't even remember your initial question now, but like but, but
That
like
was what I was looking for.
that is what like drew me so much to this one.
He kind of gave a little context, and he said that he explained his take as shifting perspective, imagining Jolene as a cheating girlfriend, which gave him a fresh emotional angle. I thought to take the character and change the context and make this redheaded woman my girlfriend that I could really get emotionally attached to. So I love what you're saying, and it is
That's
completely
interesting.
I love what you're saying, and it's so completely accurate that it's like there is this like distress, anguish. He's in agony, and just like it is madness. We have descended into madness because what I am hold near and dear to me is going to be taken away. And he takes these lyrics, and the band themselves take this music, and you understand the power of the lyrics, but also the power and the gravity of the situation that the let's say the narrator is in. And it no longer needs to be, the song is no longer about a man singing about a woman, or a woman about a man, or of whatever, or a person to it's a person to a person. It's like I am losing what I hold near and dear most, and it doesn't matter what the pronouns are, or who the song is directed at. It's just you would have to be deaf and having your ears plugged under a rock to hear that, to not hear that the person singing the song in Jack White is just anguishing, and it's, he's emotionally ruined with the idea of somebody taking their partner.
So I find that really interesting, the bit that you said about like he was imagining the like Jolene to be his girlfriend. So like did do you know, like did he mean that like as his personal motivation when he's like providing the vocals for this and like reimagining the song? Because I don't think they changed the lyrics at all, did they?
They don't. They the White Stripes perform it exactly as Dolly sang it, and I think that his approach doesn't even affect the lyrics. It's just like thinking, how would I approach this situation that I could get emotionally vested into, and it's here's one of the characters in this story. I'm going to hang it on to this person. Jolene's trying to take my partner, or somebody's trying to take Jolene, and just I need to, sing till my throat bleeds because I'm in anguish because of this.
It was just like this, like fucking descent into madness, like beyond jealousy, that like takes the spirit of the original song and just like somehow they have made it their own and just like amplified that feeling of desperation and like depravity and like just fucking losing your mind.
Absolutely.
I find it so compelling, and like you see, like just in reviews and whatever, that this is often talked about as probably the best cover of Jolene, which is a fucking amazing uh, accomplishment to have. But like I think it might be there. I think it might be.
I would say so. I would say that Blackpool Lights live single is like one of the best live songs ever recorded. The White Stripes have been known. They've been known for their covers. They did a lot of them live. They didn't do a lot of them on their albums. There'd be maybe one here and there. But they kind of developed this reputation for these covers. This was the first one that really stood out. It became a live staple very quickly. I remember going to see them at the Plaza of Nations in 2003, and they played Jolene, and everybody knew the words, and they knew the way that they performed it. Yeah. And I was like, why is this song, it's like when you learn that like a fan favorite about a band and you're like, why is this song so popular? I don't hear it on the radio. I don't see its music video. So they really developed this reputation for this song and the way they approach covers. We talked.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I gotta ask you, like, do you remember watching them perform this song in 2003, and like what went through your mind, and like what you were thinking, what you were feeling, like what their performance was like then?
It was. I saw the White Stripes play 4 times in Vancouver, and I know they played Jolene at least twice, and it's just like it does. You hear this song and you might know how big it was or how important it was to Dolly, and it's like, well, that's great, but right now the only thing that matters about this song is that it is being just like beaten over my head with this emotional baseball bat, and the person on stage, I'm not sure if Meg's real name is actually Jolene or whatever, because there is so much intensity. I can't grasp why this song is so good and why they are so torn up as they play it. Like, it's a mind-blowing song on so many levels, and that's before the White Stripes cover it. And then they somehow take this amazing song and they go, okay, well, let's just spin it on a 180-degree angle and take everything quiet about it and make it loud, and everything polite about it and make it just rude. And they somehow make a song that's even more beautiful.
Well, it's just like I am fucking unhinged and spiraling at this dinner. To be able to take that like vulnerability and desperation and then just like fucking torque it like into a rock context is so sexy and like so appealing. Like, it just fucking it landed. It landed. It landed.
You see,
it clearly landed.
So I'm glad that it landed, because when we had a brief conversation not too long ago about doing this song, and the only thing you said about it, because that's all we said, we really discussed, you said, it's pretty screechy. And I went, oh, I hope she likes it.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I don't remember saying that. It is screechy. It's extremely screechy, but it's like the like signature, like Jack White, like fucking losing it, like screechy. Oh,
Yeah.
like his version, at least like a couple of keys higher.
He's a very high singer. He sings at a high octave. It's higher than Dolly.
But the fact that like you covered Jolene and you raised the key is like already impressive. Like as a man, like that was very interesting. And like the screechiness, like I did not mean that at all. Like in like a derogatory way. Like it was like fucking masterful. Like the screechiness added to like the desperation and like the depravity and like the spiraling. Like it was like it was just fucking perfect.
Had you heard this version before I asked you about it?
Yes. I had heard the Blackpool version. I saw Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince in Blackpool once.
Really?
Yeah, that was weird. That was like, yeah. Anyway, that did not contribute to this podcast. That was like unexpected and amazing. But no, like I had heard their live version under the Blackpool lights before I heard the studio version, and I thought it was amazing. And that's rare because covers are like touch and go. But like objectively, like as soon as you hear it, that's a fucking amazing version, and I think they deserve all of the credit that they have been getting for it.
I couldn't agree more. So as we were saying, in regards to the song's legacy, it really kickstarted this trend, this pattern of covering songs that maybe were very popular. Like Jolene. It was a huge song at the time, but its era quickly forgotten as contemporary music evolved and mainstream music changed. But they would do these covers, and their stripped down, very vulnerable and emotional approach to them just completely make them their own, and it became their reputation. And so fast forward. Actually, on the tour that the live version of Jolene was recorded, they were promoting Elephant, and the second single off that album was their cover of Burt Bacharach's "I Just Don't Know What to Do with Myself," and Dusty Springfield did it as well. And they turned it into this song that was just, you talk about screeching and desperation and like loss and sorrow.
The maniacal unraveling.
It's one of their best songs. I can't recommend it enough, and it's very similar to Jolene. And it's one of the songs where you listen to the original, and you're like, oh, it's cute. This is somebody going through some trials and tribulation. And then you hear the White Stripes covers, and they turn it on its ear. It's chaos and madness, and you go, well, that's incredible. And then you go back and listen to the original, and you're like, that's a little tame. They're talking about a heavy subject here. You got a bank teller ready to take your man at a moment's notice. I guess you don't like him that much the way you're singing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it is a beloved song. It was a staple. It was a live song. A rock comparable I can drum up is there's a song by Oasis called Acquiescence. It was like a B-side. It was not featured predominantly on an album, but it's Noel and Liam singing to each other about the struggles of their relationship, but also like the bond that they have that's genuine, and it's very sweet. And it's like the second song they play every night, like on their reunion tour now, since as long as they've been a band, they play this song despite hating each other. And this song is kind of like their Acquiescence, where you're like, okay, well, what album is Jolene off of? And it's like, okay, well, it's not on any. Okay, well, what's the music? The White Stripes are famous for music videos. They don't have one. It's like, well, how is this song so big, and how is it so popular, and how do all the people at the concert I'm at know all the words? It's just because cream rises to the top, and they made something so unique and so special that seemingly through word of mouth, everybody knew about it and everybody wanted to hear it and sing along to it. And it's very special.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you heard many other covers of Jolene?
I have not. And what I like when Jack made that quote whenever he did in the White Stripes time, I didn't know that there were any covers. Have you?
Are you shitting me? There are. There must be like hundreds. There must be hundreds. Like maybe not that many from like notable artists, but like
Miley Cyrus did it. Olivia Newton-John did it.
Yes. So Miley Cyrus, she did. I think it was like Backyard Sessions. Amazing.
Yep.
She was also Dolly Parton's goddaughter.
That's right.
Yeah, she did an amazing version. She was very good. Who else did covers?
Olivia Newton-John.
Olivia Newton-John did one.
Pentatonics and
yeah, they're like they're from the South somewhere. They're like an acoustic like
American capella or a cappella group. I need to go listen to these because I genuinely only knew of two, and then of course Miley Cyrus's, because those Backyard Sessions are fantastic.
I thought Miley's was very good. Like she's up there with the White Stripes. I think they're like the only ones like genuinely up there, like where you could like get anywhere close to the original. Beyonce's like if you don't hear from me tomorrow, it is because the Beehive has dismembered me. But like I like, you know, you're doing this foray into country, and it was like such an easy go-to, and like you strip all of the vulnerability out of the music, and it's like suddenly like I'm a queen, like blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it did not land for me.
Do you think it would have landed if she did keep that vulnerability and maybe tapped into some very real things that happened in in maybe a relationship that she is or was in?
I have heard that she has endured a lot in relationships, and like to like, I mean, like this was the thing with Dolly, like for you to like sing about that vulnerability and like to make it so public, like that was what made it a hit. Whereas when you're like you're singing about I'm a queen and like I'm warning you this and that, it's like but like also the thing that made the song like catapult into like public sphere is like the vulnerability of it. And like
exactly
when you take it out, when you strip all that, and you're just like, it's another I'm gonna cut you. So,
God damn, we just went full circle.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's what we're looking for on this show. Mm-hmm. So in terms of the song's legacy with the band, huge hit, beloved. It was the B-side. It was featured on their DVD, and that was its coming out party. That's the cover's coming out party, because until then, if you didn't hear it live, you only heard it on that, as I said, sonically not good studio version. Mm-hmm. And then it was featured on their greatest hits in 2020. It was featured on I don't know if you know this, Andrea, the White Stripes did a cross-Canada tour in 2007.
I did not know that.
They played every province and territory.
Did you travel the country to like follow
I did
them?
not. I only could afford to see them in Vancouver at Deer Lake Park,
fan.
but they. Well, I'm a poser and a half, but they played Nunavut.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's cool.
In fact, the book right here has them.
Hey, while you're reaching behind you, I hope that my running medal that is like hanging behind me is not a distraction to audiences. It's like
you hear that?
for my athleticism. But anyway, go on about the White Stripes, please.
Okay, so they did a very extensive Canadian tour on their last tour, and they did a very good documentary about it, and the song was featured on that album as well. On this show, we have a segment called "Get Behind the Camera, Satan," where we talk about music videos. So in 2004, it was January 2004. 2 nights at the Empress Ballroom in Blackpool, England, potentially where you saw Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince.
Mm-hmm.
They did 2 sets, and it was going to be filmed. And this being the White Stripes and being an authentic lo-fi band that likes very real captures of art, and they don't like using Pro Tools, they don't like using digital equipment. Elephant was recorded in a purely analog studio. They say the best way that we're going to record this live show is with 6 different operators with Super 8 cameras. And Super 8 cameras have a video cartridge in them of about 3 minutes.
Perfect. Perfect. What could go wrong? Let's do it.
And the director, due to whatever limitations, the director was saying that like nobody knew what they were shooting. Nobody knew if they were getting anything. They had like little handheld walkie-talkies that were like, oh, make sure you're shooting Meg at this time, or shoot that solo, or all this stuff. So a dog's breakfast of an approach to capture this incredible live performance. But the end result was something incredible. They did, as I bring it up here, on one of the nights that they performed, Jack kind of thought the band was off, and they're like, oh, we're not playing that well, and it's not, we're not up to snuff where we should be for a live recording. Well, they basically, the first 9 songs from that first show wound up being like the first half of that DVD. Like they did 9 straight songs from the first night, and they're like, we don't need to edit anything. Like this is the best stuff. This is what the White Stripes are live. Mm-hmm. And the 9th song they did was Jolene. And Jack comes on the mic before Jolene starts, and he just says this random thing that's burned into my mind forever. And he goes, I heard George Harrison say the Beatles used to go see Blackpool Lights. And he goes, what is that? And he sticks his ear to the crowd, and he goes, a different place altogether. I'm in the right place at the wrong time. That's how I feel every day. And I'm like, God damn, that's good. And he goes into Jolene. Is that how you feel every day, Andrea? Or are you in a bit better position than Jack?
Are you talking about me and my life? Like, that is an entirely different podcast. But we don't have time for that. But with respect to what you just like, the Blackpool live version of the White Stripes cover of Jolene is the cover. Like, that's the one.
That's the song.
That's the one that is like rivaling the original. Like that is widely, I believe, accepted to be like the one version that is competing with the original, because like the original was excellent, but like the live version has like the raw edges and like just like the emotion that Jack White and the White Stripes are known for, like especially in the live version, like it's sort of unhinged and deranged, and like it's perfect. It's sexy. It's crazy. It's I don't even have the words. It's perfect.
What I love about this live version, and which also kind of helps paint the picture of the franticness and the unhinged the unhinged nature of the song is, and like any live White Stripes recording, like there are imperfections. There's only 2 of them on stage. They don't have a set list. They're trying to communicate with one another while also losing their minds on stage. That like you hear these incorrect notes, or he fumbles the riff at a point, or you can hear his in the second chorus. You can hear his voice is starting to get hoarse, and you're just everything about it's real. There's no bullshit about it. Whether it and just like that siren going by.
Welcome to my neighborhood. So that's actually a really good point, because like the second chorus where like the voice sort of like cracks, but it's like it lends itself to like just how unhinged and like raw the emotions are. Like that is something that is not captured in the studio version. I think it's perfect.
It is one of their best songs. One little note from that recording: they did 2 nights, and when bands record live DVDs or live videos, they wear the same clothes a couple times, and so the directors and the editors can splice it all together. On the first night, Meg wrote "noxious" on Jack's forearm. And on the second night, she wrote "obnoxious." She put an O and a B. So you can, when, if this song's from the first night or the second night, or if they're using some shots from night 1 to cover up night 2. And just, it was Meg's little joke on the director, which I think is outstanding.
That's a good Easter egg for fans.
Listen, it's funny you bring up Easter eggs, because this recording, when I was in grade 11, this DVD had all these Easter eggs that the White Stripes wouldn't advertise, so people had to find them. So everybody spent like hours with their DVD remote clicking and finding them, and there's still some missing ones out there. The most important version of this song and the most impactful is it's a live song. So if you go to everybody's favorite website, setlist.fm, you will learn that it is the 4th most played song live by the White Stripes in their history. They played this song. They played it 305 times live. The first time they played it was on September 25th, 1999, at the Reacher Theater in Towson, MD. What state is that?
I'm sure you've nailed the city name.
What state is MD? Maryland?
Maryland?
They were opening up for the indie college rock.
Nailed it. Perfect.
Towns on opening for Pavement, everybody's stoner uncle's favorite band. And the last time they played this song live, I can't think of a better, grander scale than them playing Madison Square Garden on July 24th, 2007. That's the only time the band played MSG. As I was saying, they did a extensive tour across Canada, which required a lot of private planes and additional travel to make that happen. So I kind of think that they looked at it. It's like, well, we're going to have to make some money on we're going to have to recoup some losses on that tour. So instead of playing a few quaint nights at the, I don't know, wherever you would play in New York, they're playing a packed MSG. So that was the last time Jolene was played live by the White Stripes.
Really?
And yeah, well, that was one of their final shows. Their last show was at the end of July of 2007.
Well, like, is that not somewhat surprising? Because like Jack White has been touring recently.
Yeah.
And so like he never made any effort to like, he didn't play Jolene. Is that not surprising that like he wouldn't maybe play that?
I think it is. I think it's surprising, but I also don't. Like, there's a lot of White Stripes songs that Jack White has continued to perform as a solo act, but there's some songs that I think are just purely White Stripes songs. And I think that Jolene is, we just spent an hour talking about how incredible this cover is and how incredible and raw and unique and impactful their cover of Jolene is. It's because it's the White Stripes. It's Jack and it's Meg, and Meg is playing on this track just as hard as and makes it just as unique as Jack does. And I think he's, I don't want to say smart enough, but I think that he knows, like, I could probably cover it, but it takes away from how special it was when Jack and Meg covered it and made it their own. And I think he's paying his respects to Meg by, hey, that's ours. That's our legacy.
Do you feel that Jack could or should do Jolene without Meg?
I don't think so, because I just like, let it lie. Like, you had such a good run. This song is held in such high regard. You two haven't performed, Andrea. They haven't performed together since the final episode of Late Night with Conan O'Brien before he took over the Tonight Show. And they performed his favorite song, "We Are Going to Be Friends." But they've done a very good job of keeping that chapter unique and special, and not dusting it off to milk it for a reunion or milk it for a payday. Like, these are two people.
But like,
Go ahead.
I don't know if I would call it milking it. Like, to know that it is such a fan favorite, and
Mhm.
like Jack White is doing his own thing on tour. Like, do you think it's off limits that he would do Jolene out of respect?
I think it's off limits, and he's also pretty close with Beyonce. Like, he
Say more.
they're pals. While he produced "Don't Hurt Yourself" off of Lemonade.
I'm not. I'm not enough of a Beyonce fan to know what any of these words mean.
Okay, so remember her really angry album where she was like jumping on the car, beating him up with a baseball bat?
I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, so Jack White produced one of, I think he performed and produced one of the big songs off that album. It's called "Don't Hurt Yourself."
Okay.
And I think that, Jolene is kind of in the public realm as Dolly's again, or Beyonce's maligned version. And I just think he's like, I don't need to try to recreate something that's magic. If the White Stripes perform at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when they get inducted, if they played it then, that'd be one of the greatest things I've ever seen. But I don't know. Sometimes you just got to let it lie.
So then, by this thinking, you don't think we'll ever hear a live performance of the White Stripes, Jolene, ever again?
Until I see it with my own two eyes, I don't think we'll ever see a performance of the White Stripes again.
Period.
And prove me wrong. But I don't know. Some things can be left in the past. I don't know if you like. Sometimes you don't need to rehash things. If you're lucky enough to have experienced it or heard it live, or we're experiencing it for the first time, like, I don't know. That's great. I don't know if I need to hear two musicians that I love that are in their 50s kind of trying to recreate it. We've already experienced it.
The Gallagher brothers are friends again.
For now. Andrea, this was a fantastic conversation, and for being for someone self-described as not the closest follower of the White Stripes, I love that we spoke about one song for an hour, and I would love to speak about another song with you in the down the road. There's a lot of them to cover, but I really liked your perspective and appreciated everything that you had to contribute to this. It was outstanding.
I really enjoyed this, and I am deeply appreciative of you inviting me on to help meet your guest DEI quotas for the hardest podcast to pod.
If you could,
I'm like, it was a real pleasure to help the podcast become fractionally more ethnic.
as we wrap it up here, if the subject of Jolene, let's just say the subject, you're in a bar, you're in whatever, you're in a conversation in a social environment where the subject of covers or the subject of Jolene comes up, what are you bringing up? What are you saying about this version to I don't know, to advertise it, to sway the people, be like, hey, you think that's good? You wouldn't believe this one.
I think, like, objectively, I think this is the best cover. And usually when you see people writing about things like this or posting about things like this online, like, there's a lot of hyperbole, like, to how dare you even suggest that any sort of a cover would come close to this original classic. But I genuinely feel like all of the praise that has been given to the White Stripes cover of Jolene is worthy. Like, it took an original, it embraced the vulnerability of it, and it just like fucking torqued it and made it its own. And like, I don't know what more you could do to add onto a cover. Like, I thought it was masterful.
Okay, that was Andrea. This is Ryan. That was Jolene. This is the end of the podcast. I love that episode. Or should I say I love that conversation. Andrea's a dear friend, a fantastic journalist, and it was great to have a very in-depth conversation with her about a band that is special to me. And as for next week, here's a plot twist, and I'm going to be honest with you. You don't know what the song is going to be next week, and neither do I. But I don't know. It could be a good one. Maybe it's a B-side, or maybe it's a real thick, deep album track. I don't know. You'll have to tune in next week and listen. The Hardest Podcast to Podcast is hosted and produced by Ryan Schaap. Artwork by Catlin Likely. Amanda Schultz is our assistant editorial producer. Mike Noble is our Gato.